Hey, today did something I don't do very often. Took a couple of animals to the butcher shop so that they could be butchered. We're putting them in our freezer. Normally we do farm kill. Due to circumstances, we weren't able to this time. I want to talk about it. I want to talk about the difference between farm kill and taking your meat to a professional processor and the benefits and downsides of each one of those methods of doing it. So stick around, we'll have that conversation. Hey everybody, welcome back to Grumpy Acres. Like I said, we're going to talk about farm kill and taking your animals to a meat locker. Now, I realize that this topic isn't for everybody. You know, it's one of those things that it's a hard topic to bring up with people, especially if they don't live on a homestead. They're not doing farming because they're not used to processing their own food. And part of being self-sufficient, modernly self-sufficient as we like to call it, is being able to procure as much food off your property as possible, and that means protein production too, i.e. animals. To get the animals on the table, we have to go through that process of killing them and dressing them out and butchering them. And there's two ways that we go about it. Normally, what we've done in the past at the old homestead, predominantly, especially with the big animals, is we've done what's called farm kill, and that's where you kill the animal, you dispatch it there on the homestead, and at that point you can either take it directly to a processor and let them do it. You can process it yourself, or what I used to do is I would dispatch them, and then I would dress them out, I'd put them on ice, and then I'd take them to the butcher. Now, the reason why I did it that way was because I have processed animals. I've done a lot of animals, between deer, goats, sheep, rabbits, chickens, ducks, squirrels, turkeys, everything. I've done all that. What I found out is I'm not a very good butcher at this point. I need to get better. So for most of our tabletop stuff, I like taking it to the butcher so we can get good quality cuts of meat out of it without butchering the roasts or having the steaks be all funky different sizes. You know, so that's why I do it that way. Like I said, I have processed it completely here at home. It takes a lot of time, and you ask anybody that does it, it is a time-consuming process, but between setting everything up, dispatching the animal, dressing it out, processing it, wrapping it, and getting into the freezer can take up an entire day. Since we moved out here, we did the chickens here. We did a video of that a while ago, and we helped some other people do chickens at their place. Hacks for the Homesteader, specifically. We helped them get chickens into the freezer. As far as the big animals, I haven't had the setup. I didn't know where all my processing stuff was. It got packed away when we moved, and I'm just now finding it in time. Taking a Saturday and spending all day processing an animal when I could be working on the house, I could be building the chicken coop, I can be putting up wood. At this point in time, it's better. I'm not going to say it's more convenient. I'm going to say it's better for us to pay somebody to do that whole process from start to finish. Now, let's talk about the benefits and the downsides of each one of the methods. Number one, if you're farm killing, one of the upsides, the big upside for me, and I had this driven home today when I was taking those animals up to the meat locker. The animals don't get as stressed out. They're much more calm, and their end of life is much higher quality, in my opinion. And I realize I'm putting some standards out there that's probably unnecessary, but for me it's important that my animals have a good life from start to finish. You're not stressing them out. They're with the flock until maybe 5 minutes before you dispatch them. You know, the ones we took this morning, we had to get in the trailer last night because we had to have them there so early. I couldn't round them up in the dark, and plus it was kind of beneficial because the temperature dropped about 40 degrees last night, and it was bitterly cold this morning, which would have made it much worse. You know, I had to have them there by 07, and that would have had me catching them at 5 o'clock, 5:30 in the morning, which I've done before, and it's not fun, and it's not easy either. Our animals do not like to be herded and touched. So that's the upside. The upside is the animals are much more calm, and their end of life is much better. Second benefit is you get to control the process from start to finish. You know, if you take an animal to a meat locker, the quality in my experience differs greatly from meat locker to meat locker. I've had meat lockers that I used once and would never use again. And we had the last one that we used when we were over on the Missouri side, Powell's Meat Locker in Clinton, Missouri. Fantastic people, and they did a great job. You know, you can control the quality, you can control the timing, and you just have everything going for you. If you're looking for a meat locker, if you're going to a meat locker, that quality aspect, my suggestion is talk to the people that are running the meat locker. Ask them if you can tour their facility. If they won't let you tour their facility or they're balking at it, I would seriously consider finding somebody else, because any facility that is doing things the right way and has a clean environment is more than happy to have you come in and check out the facilities. You know, as long as they're not processing meat at the moment. You know, don't be intrusive and demand that they do it when they're processing animals, because that's especially if they're a USDA facility, that's a big no-no. But when they don't have any animals back there in the butcher room, go ahead and ask if you can get back there and take a look at it. It's actually kind of interesting. You know, the downside of farm kill is, like I said, time and convenience. Takes a lot of effort to set everything up and to clean everything. You know, if I'm having to go to work like I did today, then being able to drop the animals off was a big plus, and they'll do everything, and I don't have to worry about all the messy parts. You know, another benefit of doing a farm kill, and especially if you're doing the whole process yourself, is cost. It's much more cost effective than taking it up and having to pay a butcher fee and all the associated fees with it. Fortunately for us, we're in a position where we can afford to do it that way. I decided today, after dropping those two lambs off, that I was going to get our setup back up and running, and the large animals, I'm going to try to do them all here on the property from here on out. Number one, it's going to save me money. Number two, it's better for the animals. Number three, I get to control what's going on. It's just, for me, it just makes me feel better about the meat we're putting in the freezer and onto our table. Now, if you don't have the ability to take care of the animal yourself and dress it out and process it, don't feel bad about taking it to a meat locker. It's perfectly fine. In fact, there's a lot of people that actually run farms that have their own abattoir and are processing their animals from hoof to table, you know, from birth to table. Joel Salatin's one. He actually started a commercial abattoir just so he could start processing his animals. With that said, we should always be looking to be more self-sufficient, which means we have to learn how to do this kind of stuff. You can get online and watch videos. I would recommend Billy Bond. He does some really good video, or he's done some really good videos on processing animals, and I recommend him for two reasons. Number one, he's a friend. He's become a pretty good friend. I'm glad that he is part of our life now. Number two, he's a trained butcher. There's a lot of the guys out there on YouTube that are not trained butchers and they're doing videos. That doesn't mean they're doing it wrong. It just means that Billy knows how to do it properly. And I guess there's a third reason, is because he is a fantastic teacher. I got to see him teach a hog butchering class at Self-Reliance Festival last year, and watching him give that class was almost as good as the class itself. In fact, for me, it was a little bit more informative, because I've butchered a large animal like a pig before, and I kind of I know the basics of it. Well, anyway, that's what I got to say about it all. We're going to get ours up and running. Don't feel bad if you got to go to a butcher shop. Make sure you're talking to the people. Make sure that they're worth having process your food. You know, if they're acting like they're doing you a favor, then steer clear of them. I've actually had some that did that. If you're new to the channel, thanks for watching this video. If you haven't subscribed, think about subscribing and joining our online community, all right? We've got a really great group of subscribers here, and we get some really good discussions in our comment section and on our live streams. So become part of that with us, okay? Give a thumbs up, hit that notification bell so that you know when we're dropping these videos. We cover a whole range of topics, from homesteading stuff like this to freeze drying to full spectrum preparedness to permaculture, just kind of everything that's part of our lives now. You know, right now we're going through a series of remodel videos that are just making our living conditions way better, and we've gotten really good feedback from people and a lot of good suggestions. Most importantly, as I always say at the end of the video, I want you guys to go out and live a life done free. Take care. Thanks, Milo.